I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Mattimus joins us. Hello.
Greetings. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
I am Mattimus, former Cosmic Defender turned archive curator. I stream a lot of retro games, some modern games, occasional karaoke, hand cam, just general variety streamer in addition to the retro gaming angle.
Yeah, now, when you say what retro games, are you talking my retro? Or are you talking like a younger generation retro?
Oh, well, that's well, my age is redacted.
Yes.
So I just go with the general. All VTubers are eternally 21, and no one will ever tell me otherwise.
Yes.
When I say retro, I lean more into cartridge consoles. So most of the stuff I stream is original hardware and
cool.
Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendos, Sega Genesis, the Game Boy era. The most modern of retro systems I stream is GameCube. And that even is hard for me to consider retro. I still don't. I look at retro as GameCube as being just a little bit older. I've never thought of it as retro because polygon graphics. How can it be retro?
That's right. I mean, it's futuristic, even if it's back then.
It uses DVD discs, and DVDs are still modern.
Yes.
They still sell them in Walmart. They can't be going out of style.
They sell them at gas stations across the U.S.
Yes,
you can always get the greatest hits of Kool and the Gang Part 2 are going to be in every gas station you stop in across your Midwestern tour. For me, retro is would have to be back in the arcades and like Pong, which we had. We actually had a Pong console.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and when it came out, we got one from Sears, but it had the Pong license to it, so. We played
nice,
and it was we had to wire it to the television and all that stuff. No plug-ins.
I used to have a Pong system.
Oh yeah,
and I regret when I was a little Mattimus, I had picked it up at a Goodwill, cleaned it up really nice. It was Super Pong Telegames.
Oh, that might be what we had.
Yeah, I think it was black and white. It might have had a color function. I don't know. I mean, how much color are you going to get from that?
Not.
But I just remember add it to the list of regrets. It's one of those things that eventually, years later, I traded into a game store for probably $20 in store credit was all. And if I knew then what I know now,
it was a lot of fun back then, especially because it had the regular Pong, of course. Then it had 2-player. Then it had a different sort of 2-player. Then it had hockey.
Okay.
Which was still Pong, but you tried to direct the ball into a net.
Nice.
And then it had street hockey, which added some barriers in the middle of the game. Which at one point you could actually hit the puck, and it would go on forever. All the way back around the
back
screen.
and forth.
Yeah, and if you needed to take a bathroom break, you just hit it like that, and there you go.
Yep, no pause button. Just get the ball bouncing. Everything will be fine.
That's right. We're good. Get your snack. Back.
I know that my the Super Pong I had was not as fancy as that. I think it only had 1 player. It had 2-player. I think it had like some sort of a hockey thing, but instead of hitting it into a net, it had like 2 sets of paddles, almost like there were 2 different things to hit the ball with on each side. And then the 1-player mode, which you could never even score against. It was just 1 paddle against a solid wall. So it was just how long could you go before you lost, not before you won.
Yeah, but the one like that on mine was they just called it handball. Which, I mean, I guess
makes sense. Yeah, use your imagination.
Yeah, it could be.
That's what was fun with Atari and everything was so much of it. They made up for the lack of graphics with imagination, and that's something which is not there with games. I mean, you don't need it, I guess, because you can do just about anything in modern games.
Mm.
But I do kind of it's like playing with old toys as a kid, where you would imagine your own scenarios.
Yeah.
That's something that you definitely don't do, except maybe with when people do these role-playing streams of things like Grand Theft Auto. I guess, I mean, that role-playing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's well, for one thing, you don't have arcade adaptations of these games.
No,
I mean,
not like you used to know.
yeah. I mean, Atari used to put out, games, but they'd also have other people putting out games, and you'd have, the infamously bad Pac-Man that came out, which was not good at all. And they improved, and somebody did an improved one later, which was much better. But you could see as they were getting along, they were trying to get as most out of that 8-bit as they possibly could in the game. And then I graduated to the Commodore 64, which
Okay.
I don't think people really realize this, but it had a cassette slot.
I've seen the cassette slot for them. I haven't seen in person, but looking them up online and stuff, I've seen the cassette drive. So
Yep.
yes, I know what you're talking about.
Well, these were like regular game cassettes, like a Nintendo or anything. You just plug it in the back, and they were really good. I had Dig Dug and I had Donkey Kong, and it was really good.
Okay.
And it just, you couldn't find them anywhere. They just didn't send them out as much. Now, we had a lot of floppy disks, I'll tell you that. But, Dungeons and Dragons floppy disks, we traded those all over the place.
Nice.
But then, but you don't have now like a Double Dragon that people play in the arcade that you would port onto a PS5. It wouldn't be like
No,
that.
you just don't have arcades really anymore.
No.
I mean, and when you do go to arcades, it seems like in any arcade game I see now that's modern and in the wild, it's always like either just a racing game or just, like, of all things, a deer hunting game or something like that. There isn't anything like there used to be. Because I do have memories when I was small. One of my local convenience stores on the corner, they had a back room where they would still get in a lot of older arcade games, because I remember seeing things in there like Altered Beast by Sega, and the one that I regret not playing more of, the arcade version of Michael Jackson Moonwalker. That is, and it's one of those things, you look at it and you laugh, and as much as you're laughing, it is a wonderful, wonderful game.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
It really, there are games like that to just catch you, and they weren't, the fun games that were played weren't necessarily ones from the giant developers. I mean, it was, sometimes you get a kind of weird looking arcade thing, and you're like, okay, well, this is really good, actually. I'm going to keep playing this. Pour all my money into that. But then you had your usual, your Donkey Kongs, your, Pac-Man. Ms. Pac-Man was much better.
Yes.
And we played the crap out of that one. Our local pizza place that my friend and I had a short walk to had basically two machines. One was a tabletop Ms. Pac-Man.
Yep.
And the other one was Donkey Kong.
Okay.
And we played. I could only get so far on Donkey Kong. I did not have the twitches to do that.
Yeah.
But we played the heck out of Ms. Pac-Man. And
nice.
And it was,
I remember the tabletop Pac-Mans. Those the tabletops. Those are just so nice.
Oh yeah. Well, the ones we used to play all the time were the football ones. It had and that's something I think we missed too in the arcades, because you controlled one player with a rolling ball.
Okay.
And when you caught it and got away, the other guy has to roll his ball to catch up with you. Oh man, that hurt.
Oh, I can imagine. I wonder how much of the equipment they ran through, because I would assume those probably got worn out pretty quick.
Oh yeah, beat up pretty bad after a while. But then they came out with the 4-player version,
Ooh.
which was really was so cool. It was just X's and O's on the field, but
Mm-hmm.
you were controlling one on each side, or two on each side. It was just a
I
lot of
love
fun.
that.
In the racing games back then, where you stood around and had everybody had um their own steering wheel,
Mm-hmm.
and looking down at the very pixelated everything and driving
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I'm remembering playing pole position in an
Mm,
arcade. So yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'd love that game a lot. It would really make me mad if I wasn't qualified in the top couple, though.
I couldn't get anywhere. I've never been. There are few racing games I love playing. It's just like fighting games like Street Fighter. I love playing them, and I am awful.
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
I know some folks who have gotten into the military shoot 'em up style. That where you jump in with four people and
Oh yeah.
and one person who I shall not name my son-in-law, um, although he's a wonderful kid. Uh, I watched him try to get into it, and he would just get killed a good
Mm.
3 seconds after he spawned in. And his teammates were like, "Get another team."
Oh wow. Ouch.
He'd show up, shoot randomly, and die.
Yeah. That sounds like my one. I've done one. I don't do a lot of gaming collabs
Mm,
because most of the gaming collabs are a lot of the stuff that I'm not really into. And I did one Fortnite collab,
mm.
and yeah, that was an experience. I just everyone was carrying me the whole time. And it just I felt so bad about it because I was just running around getting shot, running around getting shot. That was it.
Did you get did Mattimus get shot again? Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's leave him this time.
Yeah.
uh, or one of the things that turned me off about that game right away, because
Mhm.
when it first came out, the building part was such a big part of it at the time.
Yeah, I've only played the no build method.
Yeah.
I now that they've got that finally, I've heard the building was just a boring chore.
I just watch people build these giant things, and then the storm comes in, and they can't use it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't even get a chance to shoot anybody.
Yeah,
And
because I don't mind games where you build up a big base, but if it's something where you've got a time limit that's just going to get wiped out like that,
oh yeah,
what's the point?
exactly. What's the point in it? And it takes away from you know. There's no danger if you're completely encased in granite. I mean,
Exactly.
you're you're in no danger, and they're in no danger because you can't shoot out of it either.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's silly stuff. But um, so you've stuck a lot with the early console games.
Yeah, mostly I would say late 80s through the mid 90s, at least for console stuff. Yeah, for
Yeah.
um PC probably close to the same way. It's been late 80s through mid 90s into early 2000s, but most of the PC stuff I've done is outside of the occasional one-off for a modern game.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's been more point and clicks.
Mm.
Like I've always gravitated to things like Maniac Mansion and
Yeah.
Monkey Island and King's Quest.
Yeah. 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 I was big into a game called Might and Magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I played 1 through 9 of
Oh,
that.
wow.
I one was on the Commodore, and
Hmm.
it was we didn't have the internet to look up how to finish the game back then.
Oh, yep, yep.
So I just
Understood.
kept playing and playing and playing. Finally, I went to the store, bought graph paper, and
Mm.
sat and graphed out every map until I found where you're supposed to go to beat the game. And
I never had the patience for that. That was my that was always my problem with classic RPGs like that is
Mm.
I never had the patience to graph out like the first person perspective mazes and everything because I get lost so easily in games anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it just happens. And we I by the time I finally got to the main battle, I
Hmm.
was like level 700, and it was nothing. It was like one hit,
Yep.
and then the guy was dead.
Well,
Um,
that's it.
yeah,
Okay.
that was it. Fine, but I never would have found it. And then a friend of mine comes over and says, "Oh, I have the guidebook."
Yeah.
Well, I have a better guidebook, and I wrote it. Okay,
Yeah.
I I
That's fair.
I know exactly where every treasure is and how to get there. I found stuff that wasn't in the guidebook.
Yep. There are plenty of the few guidebooks I've had. I've been kind of always surprised by the inaccuracies. How'd this get through the editing process? I
Right?
guess no one cared.
Yeah. Well, there were some games back then where you had to have that book
Oh yeah.
that came with it. Otherwise, you couldn't sign on the game.
Hmm.
They say go to page 14. Look for the fifth word and tell us what that is.
Yep, I've still got some of the copy protection. Some of my games have the copy protection like that on PC. Yeah,
Yep.
I hated that. That was even worse if you ever had bought a used copy of a game in
Yep.
like a Goodwill and well, I guess I won't be playing that one for a while.
Till somebody or they had a wheel that you had to match up things on the wheel, a physical wheel in order to do that. If I could do that, I wouldn't be playing video games. Okay.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, I'm lucky that my floppy disk copy of because Secret of Monkey Island was one of those that had the wheel where you had to match up it
oh
was
yeah.
called Dial a Pirate, and you had to match up the pirate faces to get through the copy protection. And then LucasArts just completely removed it when they put out a compilation set. I think the reason they removed it was they didn't want to manufacture any more of the wheels.
Oh, I imagine.
I believe that's what it all came down to.
Yeah, yeah, or you if somebody was trying it for the first time and only one of the
Hmm.
games needed the wheel, and they get to that game and it doesn't work, like, well, why am I bothering? You don't want
Yeah.
me to play.
Yep.
Kids have it so easy these days with these games. Just turn it on and go. You don't have to work for
Oh
it.
well, that just reminded me one of the copy protections that I hated as a kid, and it because I thought it was part of the game. And kudos on Sierra for making the copy protection seem like it's part of the game.
Yeah.
But I was like trying to find walkthroughs and everything because I couldn't get past it. It was King's Quest 6. And there's this section you can play through like they made it where you could play through like the first fifth of the game just fine.
Mhm.
Like letting you demo it if you had pirated it. Uh, and then you get to these cliffs of logic. And the cliffs of logic, you're supposed to be answering these questions, and it doesn't tell you what page or anything. It'll just ask questions like, the man who seeks to rise above must blank. And it turned out it was in the book. There's this whole section in the book that's just labeled as like the history
Yep.
of the Pegasus people or something.
Yeah.
And you had to read through that, and it was just like the headings, the quotes for each at the start of each page or at the start of each paragraph.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it didn't ever even tell you what page you needed to check on. So I thought it was puzzles in the game I had missed.
That's pretty sneaky.
Yeah, I'm like looking through all my items and everything, and okay, so what am I missing here? Did I forget to talk to someone?
What did I
Nope.
do wrong? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something. And I'm gonna have to check these out because I'm sure I played a lot of these games that you're going
Yeah.
through. So what made you turn and do some this creation anyway? This content creation.
Oh boy. Uh, I guess it was kind of maybe a little bit slightly similar to your story you were telling me. So my background was in TV and radio production,
Mm,
and
one of us.
I had started working I had worked at and gave up that career. I had worked at a local TV news station
Hmm.
and moved up from the production end to being a newscast producer. And uh, it was one of those things I liked. Occasionally I'd get to do some minor voice work for it, which was fun. Um, but it was like I loved the TV production aspect, but I absolutely hated the news and the way it was and the way we were covering it.
Right.
I just couldn't stand the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
can understand that a lot because in the time I was working in there, I started in '83,
mm,
and by the time radio was done with me,
hmm
it had changed so much. It was everything had a slant on it,
yes.
intentionally, and yeah, I still tried when I was filling in on the news stuff to not do that,
Mm,
but
yeah.
that didn't always please the bosses. um, and then you have to please the bosses, otherwise you don't have a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, and in my case, I didn't even it was like I intrinsic because at the time I was young and dumb.
Mm.
I mean, I still call myself maybe I mean, it's still dumb, just not quite as young. Uh, but
It's just in different font.
exactly. So I didn't it was one of those things I was working there, I was doing it, and it was like it was sort of going through the motions. I wasn't really following the news closely. I didn't really know a lot about the political world, but I was watching a lot of this coverage and it was like I could intrinsically see, hey, we're covering this. This is kind of one-sided. And what it was is it all started with one thing. I'm not going to say what the specific court case was because that would definitely dox my age.
Right.
But I had just started. It was before I was ever in the newsroom, and I was running studio cameras at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a national news story. It was a sexual assault thing where someone was accused in a college of assaulting a young woman.
Right.
And every night, even though it wasn't in our state, it would be covered a lot because it was a big deal.
Right.
And then the national news that we would go to for half hour, or an hour in between newscasts would be covering it. And the whole time it was constantly the drumbeat of they are guilty. They were being convicted in the public eye. They were being convicted by the news before the case had even been finalized. I would watch at least one of the anchors as the story was being played out would shake her head and how awful, how awful. And then after like a month of this, the case completely fell apart, and it wasn't a case where they were just found not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It was they flat out weren't guilty. It was a completely made up allegation.
Yeah.
And at that point, I watched not only the station I worked for, but the national news that had spent the past months convicting the accused in the public eye just not care anymore. They just did it was just a small update. Well, a turn of events today as blah, 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 and not guilty. And they lost all interest. They were perfectly content bringing this person down
Mm-hmm.
for what they had supposedly done. And then there was no apology, no regrets, nothing. How many people out there still think they're guilty because the news had hammered that drumbeat? And that was one of those things I didn't even realize at the time that had stuck with me until years later, where I kind of was just sitting in, that's kind of where it started. That's where I was already falling in love with this, and that was first week. Wow.
It was
Yeah.
it was already
eventually,
a fickle find.
yeah. So IRL, I'd had a falling off. There were some incidents and everything, and I wound up leaving the job. And before I wound up, because I was kind of debating, do I want to go into it with another station? Do I want to try to keep moving it, or is this career even for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I made a liberating mistake, and that was IRL. I finally, just on Facebook or whatever, I finally opened up and let my politics be known. No one ever knew where I stood on any issues. And finally, when I was out of there, it was like, okay, this is who I am. And immediately, well over half of my contacts just dried up. It was one of those cases where, and he's unemployable now, because I did apply at a few other stations, even in another state, and couldn't get on. And it never bothered me that the only thing that bothered me was the so what am I going to do with my life now? But I always wanted to get back, just to go back to the how I got into the content creation thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew as time went on, I wanted to get back into doing something that wasn't that, but something where I felt that all that I'd done in college could be put to use. And I started finally, once I had decent internet, watching different streamers and thinking, how can I do something like this? How can I even stand out? And then I stumbled upon VTubing completely by accident and just fell in love with it. I mean, that's it. I was a fan before I ever started doing it.
Who'd you
I
watch?
just started watching, and yeah.
Who were you watching?
So it all started. There was a company, Specialite EN, which was the English brand of a small corpo named Specialite, and the English brand is folded up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what a VTuber was. I had maybe seen something like Iron Mouse in passing, and for all I knew at that point, it was just AI generated. I didn't know what it was. I hadn't paid attention.
Right.
I was watching a few Flesh and Blood streamers at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Specialite EN just ran these. I was working at my other job, came home tired, and Specialite was running these Christmas ads for their new talents, for launching their talents. And so it was the ads for Specialite EN that led me to, okay, let me check these people out. So the first people I was watching were the 4 talents of Specialite EN, who were then Miki Hitsugi, who has since izakai'd and then disappeared again, and I guess is looking to izakai again. Utahime Mochizuki, Victoria Valerie, and Miyu Akamiya, who Miyu's one of the ones who I really credit with being one of my top 6 influences in this field. But yeah, it was just those Christmas ads for them is what got me started, and from there it fell down the rabbit hole because there's just so many.
Hey, there it is, and there's so much you can do with it. It's you might have a situation where some of in the future, I think, and I'm old, so everybody has to listen to me. You might get a group that ends up being basically an online television station, and produces content and has a 24-hour section of programming and does all that sort of thing. It's possible. It's not.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I like that concept because, I mean, even with my own streams, I try to keep my schedule. I know there are a lot of streamers who bounce around their schedules. I try to always keep my times and my days as close to consistent as humanly possible. So the idea of having just a 24-hour hub where it's always someone live and you don't have to worry about being a VOD. Nothing against VOD. We love VOD watchers.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But they're the bread and butter, really, for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I really like that idea. Yeah. I like the idea of like a 24-hour. I mean, the equivalent of almost like the 24-hour news stations where there's always something.
Yeah, and I kicked out this idea a long time ago, but a 24-hour music station of all VTuber covers with your VJs and somebody coming on doing VTuber news.
I like that a lot. I like that. I'm thinking because the VJs, because I know I've watched a few. I know one of my other influences. I'll go ahead and mention her because she's retro gaming was immediate to draw for me. Amiya Aranya. I know Amiya Aranya's done just a few, and I wish she'd do more. Like it wasn't with covers, but it was like a DJing video game music type thing.
Oh yeah,
where she'd get together the different themes. She'd have people submit their favorite theme, and she'd go on there with a disc jockey persona. Had and it wasn't on there with her model, but had an animated background, which was just perfect because it was like a dithered 8-bit graphic style and cigarette smoking in hand, which just I love that. I love that so much. I don't care if they're dangerous. That just looks awesome.
A little noir in there.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what I always associate with, still even with TV and radio culture. Which, if you don't mind me go off on a side tangent on that,
Go ahead.
that was one of my favorite smoking stories ever. Was one of my supervisor who at the place I was at, who was really done dirty when they had new management come in. He was really done dirty, and he had always been a chain smoker. And I talked to him, and the day after he he quit, but it was sort of they drummed him out to the point where he kind of had to quit. They just didn't want to pay any unemployment.
Right.
But the day that he left, he told me he never even had the desire to smoke again. He just quit cold turkey right then. It wasn't even like immediate, no nicotine problems, nothing. It was just like, I don't even have the desire. It was all this job that did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it can definitely do that. And there are a lot of people now who still every once in a while think that, I want to be a radio host and all this stuff. Do it part time. Because one thing, local radio is just not being full time now. Just very few can do it.
No, so much of it is voice tracked, isn't it? Too. They just,
absolutely. Voice tracked, and a person who's got a really good voice can be sitting in Montana and be on 10 different stations at the same time across the country.
Oh yeah,
because they just send them the things to read and they just drop it in. So the local part is gone, and that's what my first station was a local news talk sports station, which is where I got the chance to do a lot of interviews and sports and things. And I enjoyed that so much. It's a station I grew up with. Since I was 12 years old, I wanted to be in there. So I got that dream early. But the reality was we were in a different situation because our owner, who was someday I'm going to just do a show on the owner because she was an incredible person.
Gotcha. Okay.
And how she had it set up, the station was basically her baby. She had a newspaper, and unfortunately, that relationship after she passed away helped the station go bankrupt. Because it was outdoing the newspaper by the end by leaps and bounds. And newspapers today are desiccated. It was just...
I don't know of the last time I even read a newspaper was when I had to I had to put an announcement into mine for just my artificial business name so that I could register myself as a business. That's probably the last time I picked one up.
Yeah, that's that's the only place you get to publish it that counts.
That's
and the want ads are now just the want ad.
Yeah, and now that's something I am going to say. I again, not trying to dox my age because I turned only 21, but I do really lament the lack of no longer having like want ads for papers, and even not even having a phone book anymore. I do lament not having these things printed and in paper, because I honestly feel it was a lot easier than to do it that way. Than to do it with the internet. As much as the internet is great for finding certain things that you want, when it comes to even the job hunt, I think it's and when it comes to finding a plumber or someone to work on electronics, because God knows I've been trying to find someone in my area to repair my Laserdisc player for over a year now, and without an actual phone book, it's just become a nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so many things you could get done with that. If you need somebody to, you need new tires, you go to the tires section and and they give you a list of them. Nowadays, you go online and you don't know what you're going to come up with.
Exactly. I look up Laserdisc repair. I get cell phone repair. I'm not looking for cell phone repair.
This is something that some cities deal with, but mine definitely does. I live in Danville, Illinois.
Okay.
And I work at a police station, the front desk. We get calls. Okay. Yeah. There's a place where you meet some folks.
I can imagine.
Yes. But we get calls all the time from people who have looked up the Danville Police Department in Virginia or Kentucky or California and find our number and call me.
That does not surprise me at all. That doesn't surprise me. And the thing is, it's one of those things that you'd think would be getting better, and yet it's getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about all the AI stuff. Oh, it's getting better. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. The maybe the sex bots are getting better, but that's about it.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't know.
I know. Of course not. Not.
Of course.
Yeah. Not very, very right by the book as far as that goes. But it's just funny because you can't convince them that they're not calling the right place.
No,
because
they were told online, and the internet cannot be lying. The internet is always true. Abraham Lincoln said so.
That's right. So before and after he became an alien. That's how it worked. But one thing I do think is, and I wish we had this type of technology that we're using now in 1985. Because if I wanted to talk to somebody in Singapore in 1985, first of all, it's going to be by landline, land phone line. It would take a half an hour to make the connection. It would sound like utter garbage, and would cost about 1/3 of the gross national product to make, because of we had a phone company that 10 miles away was long distance. So it would have just wrecked that. And I would have been fired because, it's like, you can't do that.
Why'd you spend the money? Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't spend it. You spent it.
You spent it.
You didn't have to pay the bill.
We didn't have that, but I know when I was working, when I was fresh out of college at that TV station, they weren't using the internet. It was all satellite hookups. So you had to book the satellite time. And I know that cost an arm and a leg. It was so rarely done. And I mean, the quality was good, but then of course you never knew, storm comes in and there goes your satellite feed.
Yes. But storm hits the tower.
But yeah, it was definitely so much more difficult than, I mean, now, I agree. This type of, for interviews and things like that, this would have been just fantastic back then. Yeah. And I feel like it would have been used, I hate to say it, I feel like it would have been used better and more creatively. And maybe that's just me putting rose-colored glasses on things, but I feel like there'd be better things done with it than today, where it's just taken for granted.
We'd have taken care of it. We'd have cleaned it.
Yeah, exactly. The old man shouts at clouds. Yeah.
Yes. We would have, greased the barrel. Everything would have been perfect. And now these kids today, they drive over them and leave them outside in the rain. You'd see, if you saw some of the products we used back in the 80s, and you'd say, how did that even work? We don't know. We plugged it in and the light came on. That's how it works.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, in a way, that's the way it is now, because, no one knows how anything works. There was a boy, going back to news headlines, there was a story just earlier this week, broke my heart. It was some lady in her 80s who was in, I guess she still used an iron lung. And she was, it broke down, and they couldn't find, she wound up dying because they couldn't find anyone who could figure out how to repair it. And it's just a reminder of, and at least she had lived a long, I mean, I say at least she lived a long life. At least it wasn't like some kid, but I mean, it's still an awful thing to have it be because you couldn't fix something, because something was so old, no one knew how to, or no one was smart enough to figure out how to fix it. And
every time I go to the doctor, yes.
Well, but we live in a society. We live in a society now where people don't. I mentioned the Laserdisc player. No one knows how to fix a lot of older machinery and electronics, and even newer machinery and electronics. And it's going to get to a point, I mean, even, and beyond that, even programming Modern programmers don't know how to fix it. I'm convinced that YouTube, the reason that so much stuff goes on as far as channels getting banned, as far as stuff not working, because I've had hell of a lot of problems with my channel where gifted memberships were broken and might even still be broken. They were half broken for over a year, where one would go through and then two would go undelivered. I am convinced that the code has been written and rewritten so many times for YouTube, and now with the AIs diving in and rewriting things, I don't think there's a human being left at Google who knows how to decipher their own code.
Yeah, you can call you.
I think anyone there who knew how is gone, has left the business, and now you don't have any. If the whole thing falls apart, no one's going to know how to fix it.
No. Well, I mean, that's a lot of things. Cars. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You used to have the shade tree mechanic who could fix your stuff. Now you might have somebody who can change the oil.
Yeah, and it's also computerized now too. Yeah, so I'm someone, I don't know anything about cars, but I do know family members who used to work on classic cars and have said, they when they've been asked if they can take a look at someone's modern Chevy sedan, it's always oh no, sorry, can't do it, because it's just everything's so computerized. There's nothing I can even touch in it. I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I all I know about cars is where to put the water and where to put the gas.
Yep. And I can change the battery. That's
I can tell you when the battery needs changing because it doesn't start.
Exactly.
That's why I married a Hoosier. She knows everything about these things.
Nice.
Yeah, I lean on her for practically everything, which is but the loss of that and the utilitarian that people, some people say, well, that's good because then you just replace it. Yeah, but instead of replacing one piece, now you replace the entire engine. Instead of replacing, a little part of your computer, you have to buy a new computer.
To
get through it. And it's we used to have that in the 80s with cars. It was called what was it? Planned obsolescence.
Yep. I've heard the term.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you ever saw, do you go out there? Do you ever see a 1984 Firebird out there? No, you do not.
Nope. I see plenty of cars from 70s and earlier, I would say, especially 60s and earlier, because a lot of people driving classic cars, but 80s cars, no. So rare.
Ford Fairmount, basically made out of plastic, and they were all 4-cylinder engines that wouldn't go up hills, but people bought them. And that's why they had that Lemon program years ago, and all of those went to the Lemon program because there wasn't any point in fixing them.
Yeah,
they were made to die in 4 years, so you buy another car.
I'm thinking about so many things now that TVs, for instance. TVs. Oh my gosh, now who repairs a TV? It's you throw it out. There's landfills full of them. And I mean, I'm not super environmentalist, but I don't like, I hate litter and I hate waste. And I see something like that and it's just such a waste, because why should we pay to get it repaired when we can go buy one at Walmart for, $100, $150, which I'm happy that they're that inexpensive now. Yeah. I'm not unhappy about that, but it's sad that the repair process isn't at least easier where it could be cheaper, or where you could do it yourself.
Yeah. Now, if you find a guy who's in the garage working on computers and he'll keep it, just make sure you keep him very happy.
Yeah. I can build. I've built my own PCs, but heaven knows when it comes, if a component gets fried, I have no idea how to pinpoint it. No. I could build. I could put them together, but fixing them after that, that's another story.
Yeah, one of the last station I worked with had a very old board that it used in the AM studio, and that was the one I used all the time. And during the show, early morning show that I was on, it had a hum going on it.
Mm.
And the engineer was off doing something else, and we went into our satellite services. And I went in the back and I grabbed a screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an engineer. I started radio when you had to be licensed to be an engineer.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yes.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and so I went in and I opened it up, and I was just listening in queue. It's a channel where you can practice, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I would press the I would press the metal part of the screwdriver on different wires that were loose.
Mm-hmm.
And if I
Oh,
heard
wow.
if I heard it getting worse or better, and finally I found one, I said, "Well, that's the problem." So I took it, found the screw nearest it, and basically just wound it around that, and it fixed it.
Nice.
I don't know whether I changed time and space dimensions. I don't know, but just it used to be you could MacGyver anything and get it done. But I think now with the games these days, you've got a lot of people who are working very hard. Sometimes they overwork on them, and you get something that looks too realistic or uncanny realistic, and it kind of blows it. But you go back to the games that you're playing, and while the graphics aren't hanging in the Louvre, they fit the game though.
Yes.
And
no, I agree. I'm a big believer with games and movies especially. Sometimes things can be left to cook too long. You can overcook things. You leave it on the burner too long, it's overcooking. Yeah, you've made it more fancy. You've upgraded. Well, this Grand Theft Auto 6, it's been that's coming out. Leaving aside the whole physical media debate with that, which is another can of worms.
Yeah.
It's been in production for so long, and so much money funneling into it, and because of how long they have taken, the expectations are so high, and the graphics are going to be so realistic, and you cannot convince me that it's not going to wind up being a disappointment. It's gonna sell it's gonna sell massively, but you can't convince me that the end reviews aren't going to be, but it's not as good as the last one.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I look at a game like No Man's Sky that came out a little while ago, and when it first came out, everybody's like, "Oh, this is going to be great! The graphics are wonderful." And they found out that the gameplay was a 2 out of 100, and they were like, "Oh, we'll play it a little while," but then there wasn't anything interesting. Now they were smart about what happened, saw it. They were independent enough to where they could fix the game as it was out there, and now people are enjoying playing it. It now has a game to it.
Yes.
Or like Fallout 66 or 76, whatever it was.
76, I think it was. Yeah.
It lost 10 in the translation. People were like, "Oh, this is going to be something," and then it was like, "No, it wasn't. It wasn't very good." I mean, I guess it's better now. They've updated a few things, but that was really a disappointment for some people. You can name a few more of them that way, but I think that's the reason why we're seeing a lot more good-selling independent games.
I'd agree with that. There's more. Well, there's less micromanagement, of course, from a big studio, but there's more when it comes to indie games. There's less fingers in the pot is always a good thing. Less cooks in the kitchen, and there's just more heart to it. It's almost every one of them is a labor of love in some way, and usually, not always, but usually a labor of love not always. Usually, it'll turn out to be better. Sometimes it won't, because labor of love, you can't see past the criticism too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll be told you have an ugly baby, and no one can, and you refuse to recognize you have an ugly baby.
And you've just been You've been carrying
I think. Go ahead.
You've been carrying a pug around instead of the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One thing I do lament, you mentioned about fixing games. I do and this is another thing I like about the retro gaming scene more than the modern scene. I hate the fact that every game, almost every game, has to be updated.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the thought that every game isn't just immediately a finished product and ready to play the moment you I guess now download it, or the moment you pop it in. The fact that you have to download anything and there's a day one patch. No. I bought the game. I was paying for a finished product.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. And if it turns out that it's busted when it was supposed to be finished, then congratulations, you're going to have a game that is not going to sell well.
Yeah.
That's that. So as much as I love especially with PC gaming more than console gaming, as much as I love that things are able to be updated and fixed if bugs are found,
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that's become more of a crutch and more of an excuse where we don't have to do all the play testing. We don't have to make sure anything's finished. We can just keep it going as we go along. And then in a lot of cases, unfortunately, once we've made enough money from it and we're moving on to something else, well, we'll just leave it still partially broken. That last bug will never get corrected.
Oh yeah, exactly. You have to rely on fans to do it, and then you sue the fans. And then you sue the fans for fixing your game.
Yeah. In fact, one that's always eaten away at me. Well, there's two, both from Traveler's Tales, and they were of anything modern I've always enjoyed, or more modern I've enjoyed the Lego games.
Mm-hmm.
And Lego Lord of the Rings is a buggy mess. If you it will screw things up where you can't 100% the game. And instead of going back, and so if you realize you've gotten one of these bugs, you better hope you saved beforehand, because you're going to have to restart from that point. So it was definitely a save early, save often, to quote Al Lowe, situation. But when Traveler's Tales was contacted about it, their solution was for you just to screenshot what percentage it shows of your game, and if it matches the percentage that is for when you would have been able to complete it before it bugged out, they would just send you a save or actually no, it was to send them your save game file, and they would just patch your save game so that it was now 100%. They never would fix the game. They just patched the save file.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing with them, and it was, they've already made their money. They already sold their copies. Why should we go back and fix anything? And the other one was Lego The Hobbit. They sold Lego The Hobbit, and when Lego The Hobbit came out, the second movie was out. The third part of that trilogy of movies, which should have been just one movie, but I'll save that for another discussion. The third one wasn't out yet, so the game only covers the first two movies, and then it cuts off. It cuts off right when Smog is destroying Lake Town, and the assumption always was, well, they're going to put out a DLC or they're going to patch it, and once the third they were told they couldn't do this because the third movie isn't out yet, and Warner Brothers doesn't want them to, be spoiling the movie in case anyone hasn't read the book.
Right.
And so the assumption was they'll be patching this and putting the extra. No, that's where it ends. You can 100% the game with 2/3 of the story. And to this day, you download it from Steam, same thing. And this is now, I don't know, like 10 years old.
Ugh. Ay.
Yeah.
It's there's too much to put in, and I'm running out of time, which is ridiculous because
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can yap forever. I'm sorry about that.
Me too. I mean, we were both in broadcasting, so it was bound to happen.
Yeah,
it was bound to. But before we do take off, tell me, have you got any big plans coming up for your channel this year?
Oh man. Well, I'm keeping doing the Yap, sort of like you do. So I'm planning to have some other content creators on in the near future to talk about, mostly indies. So like next week, we're going to have on a content creator named Reiko Star
cool.
To talk about her music.
Yes.
I know this coming week, every full moon stream, we always do the one thing. I consider myself, I'm an 18 plus channel, but I consider myself to be a say-so streamer.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's 18 plus, we try to lean away from adult, except on the full moon. So this full moon, we've got our next full moon full goon stream going on, where we're going to be playing Super Seducer 2, which is a full motion video game that's supposed to be a dating tool to teach you how to pick up women, when it's more like a tool to get of how to get arrested.
Yes, exactly.
I have a new a refresh. It's not a new model, but a refresh of my model that I've been sitting on that I'm hoping to debut soon, but I can't give you a date.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the only big thing is I am really close to hitting 10K subscribers on YouTube. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the 10K sub special. I promise it will be super underwhelming, because we specialize in always having milestones that are very underwhelming. But really, yeah, that's all I can think of. It's just mostly for the moment, just continuing the grind. I stream between 4 and 5 days a week usually. So, yeah. Appreciate any eyeballs that choose to check me out.
Well, we're going to have all the links in the description for the interview. So folks can check out what Mattimus has got going on. And I fully expect to hear more things, because I don't know why they didn't put you on the news with that voice. You should have been on all the time.
Oh, bless you. I appreciate that.
All the time. And we'll hear more from you, because we're going to have you back. Absolutely. Mattimus, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.